Hello everyone. As promised, I was going to do a check of a HVAC for cooling, and generally we only spend about 10 to 15 minutes on these units because we are just doing like a performance test to see if the unit is putting out what it's supposed to do. We don't really go into the depth of if there are any problems. So just to make sure that the system is working, that's all we do. And so I'm just going to open my box of tools, and I'm going to pick out my for this my infrared temperature gun and my bimetal temperature probe. That's all I need for this test. So just follow me, and then we will go and put the AC system on a test. So as we come up to the thermostat, first thing I do is I match up or sync or see if my temperature probe is pretty much the same as what the thermostat is saying. It's about a half a degree difference. So I'm pretty sure that it's calibrated pretty good. So what we will do is we'll call for cooling now. HVAC is on cool mode. So what we'll do is temperature is set at 78. We'll just bring it down to about 72 or so. I'm going to bring it down to about 72. Say that's 71. Okay. It says for 2 hours. I wouldn't do a test for 2 hours. It'll be like 15 to about 20 minutes or so. Okay, I heard the indoor fan come on, so which means that the compressor too would have come on. I'll go check. So we have called the temperature to be down to 71. Right now the room temperature here is 76 degrees. So we will check the inside fan out first. The indoor fan has started up. Before I go any further, what I'm going to do is, this is actually a condensate line. When the air is being cooled, it pulls out the moisture. That's how it dehumidifies the house. It pulls out the moisture due to the cold coil, and then the water actually trickles down to the drain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure these drains should not be glued. They should be kind of friction fit. As you can see in here, so it was just a friction fit. Just want to make sure that there is moisture coming out. Yeah, there is water coming out. You can see the water coming out. So that means the line is not clogged up. The reason why we open up this drain line from the condensate coming from the evaporator coil is to make sure that the coil is making the dew point, so that it squeezes the water out of the air and thereby drying the air out. So this way it's proving that there's a good airflow through the coil. You can see the water is coming through, and make sure that this drain line is not plugged up, because otherwise you could have problems, because sometimes some units actually have a float switch in them, and if for any reason the evaporator pan fills up with water and nothing drains out, the unit will actually shut down. And then that will cause you a service call, and all you have to do is just put a coat hanger or a straight piece of wire and then clean this drain out. So we always make sure that the evaporator gets a good cross flow of air, and obviously we check the air filter too to see how good or bad the air filter is. This one says it was changed in February, so looks like it was changed for the winter. But it's kind of hard because the fan is running and it's causing a cross draft. The filter is kind of dusty. I would probably change it out. I would recommend that it be changed out, and I'll leave that as a note that the filter should be changed out. Looks like this filter was changed out February 17th. It's always good to date your filter so that way you know how much of service you're getting out of it. I would definitely change this filter. It is kind of dusty. Looking at the air handler discharge side, I found a hole or an aperture that I can put my bimetal probe to see what the discharge temperature on the coil is. Should be about 35-36 degrees Fahrenheit. My infrared is showing around 62 degrees. So we'll come back to it. Let the bimetal temperature gauge or thermometer kind of register its correct temperature. We can come back to it. What we'll do is we'll go and read some of the discharges in the house to see what kind of temperature we are getting. Now, technically, we are not supposed to check every diffuser or every outlet. We are supposed to only check a representative number. So on the main flow, I'm going to take a reading. The discharge is 57 degrees, 56 degrees. It's starting to go down, which is pretty good. Let me check out another one. That one is pretty close to the furnace. Let me check another one that is further away from the furnace. Showing 60 degrees and it's going down. Let's check another one that is pretty close to the furnace. 58 degrees. Now we'll go upstairs and see what the discharge temperatures are upstairs. We are in the master bedroom upstairs. I'm getting 64 degrees. Further away, at the end of the house is 65 degrees. The second bedroom is 63, 64 degrees. Also, we check the return. The return here is 78. And then the third bedroom, '62, 61 degrees. I checked the return air to see what the delta is, the delta temperature drop from return air to supply air. So on the ground floor we are picking up about like a 10 degree, and upstairs was about close to 20 degrees. Because I guess the upstairs was warmer, 79, and I guess the supply air was around 63, 64. So we'll go outside and check the outside unit. I listened to the compressor and the fan. They seem to be very smooth. It's running pretty good. What I'll do is I'll take a temperature reading, 111 degrees, 112 degrees. That's the discharge. It's discharging through the coil, the condenser coil. So I just feel the outside to make sure that I can feel the temperature difference from the outside to the inside. And usually I take all the data or the information from the tag plate. This is a Freon 22 unit. This may need to be insulated. The insulation is starting to come off a little bit. This is a suction line. I would write it down as the insulation has to be upgraded. But other than that, the unit is pretty quiet. It's running pretty good. I'm happy with it. When I check the outdoor coil, I always check the noise level or the decibels of the compressor and the outdoor fan. This unit is coming between 50 to 60 decibels, which is pretty quiet, especially for an older unit. This is 20 years and plus. This unit is a little older unit, but it has a scroll compressor. So scroll compressors are pretty quiet, but they have to sit on a little film of oil. That's why I always check to see if these outdoor coils are level or it's plumb, because it helps the oil to be pumped into the compressor and keeps the bearings all lubricated. So I did put a plumb on this to make sure that it was straight. I have some photographs of another property where the condenser coil was at an angle, so I made a notation that it can have issues with the bearing lubrication later on another day. So that's something for the owner to be taken care of. So I'm back at the air handler, and someone had marked what the box temperature is for heating and cooling. Here's my temperature probe, my bimetal temperature probe. Okay, let's see what the inside of the coil temperature is like. It's about 42 degrees. So there should be roughly around 20 degree split or a delta with the air coming in and the air being discharged. So the air being discharged into the basement is roughly 63 degrees. I guess as the temperature comes down, it should be putting out in the 50s, 57, 56 degrees or so. Because this is now taking in quite a big load, because it was close upon 76, 77 degrees when we started the unit up. So the temperature is gradually coming down. So I will check everything, make sure that there is no, like the fan is running pretty good, bearings are pretty good. I can listen, I can tell by the running of the fan that nothing seems to be out of whack on this one, or out of normal. So I'll go and just check the temperatures upstairs. I'm back at the diffuser that is closest. See, it's coming down to 52 degrees now, which means the unit is working pretty good. This was around 63 degrees, 61, 63 degrees. It came down 10 degrees. So I would let the system run for about half an hour or so while I do some other work. After about an hour, I checked the bimetal temperature gauge. It was about 37. It's about 37. The coil was around 37, which is pretty good. So as I wrap up this inspection of this house, about an hour later on, I came and checked the system. The system is running pretty good. The temperature shown on the thermostat is just like a half a degree over, so I'm not too worried about that. So I checked all the boxes that I do a test on this system. So I'm wrapping up the inspection of this AC unit system, which seems to be working pretty good. So I'll be writing up the report with all the relevant data, the supply air temperatures, return air temperatures, and all that information. And of course, the model number of the unit and manufacture date and the tonnage and the Freon, the gas that's used, which is a 22, which is now pretty much obsolete now. So I would say that this system is almost at the end of its lifespan, so they should probably look at changing this unit out pretty soon in the next couple of years. So I hope I can join you guys on my next video. Till then, be safe, take care, we'll see you. Bye.